already had that permit. Why are you, by one sweeping statement, revoke them and require them to come back for data you're supposed to already have? How? It's a fraud meant to line the pockets of a few persons and thereby break the backs of Nigerians who are growing under the economic situation we find ourselves in. And we shouldn't allow that. It's a scam. Thank you.
Welcome to our Social Connect, where we share everything that concerns our social lives. Kindly subscribe, like, and comment on our videos as we bring more to you. The news came as a shock last night, with the Nigerian police giving a deadline notice to resume enforcement of the tinted glass approval effective January 2nd, 2026. Very, very scary.
The mandate of the police is to protect life and property. We would not fold our arms and watch things degenerate. We'll do what needs to be done. So, like I said earlier, there is no clear-cut order. There is no court order at all restraining the police from enforcing this. And since the case is still ongoing, and in that period, this is causing more criminality, we will do the right thing to start enforcing this permit policy until the court case can be concluded. So until the court makes a clear pronouncement, we will continue enforcement of this tinted permit policy.
There you go. But the Nigerian Bar Association is resisting it and has called a press briefing to say the policy is a scam and it will resist it stiffly.
Last night, informing the public of the purported decision of police to resume or reactivate the police policy on tinted glass approval. Now, the policy first became known to the public in April, and it was extended to commence on October 1st. Now, because of our belief that this policy was unconstitutional, was unlawful, the NBA went to court. And through the section of public interest and development law, FIDL, and also some of our members, and our NEC resolved also to support these lawsuits. And the court in Warri ordered that the status could be maintained. And consequent upon that, the police reached out to us and we had an engagement with the police where all the parties agreed that that policy implementation be stopped. So we await the outcome of the legal challenge to the same. And before I continue, I would like to say a few things. We believe that the National Assembly lacks power to make that law, pursuant to which the police issued the policy. We also believe that, assuming without considering that the Nigerian police force has the power to, the National Assembly had the power to make that law, and that the policy given by the police as a regulation was lawful, that it was also ultra vires the police to make it, and that it was a money-making venture by the police. First of all, let me start by noting the Nigerian police force is a law enforcement agency. It is not one meant to generate revenue. And it is more worrisome that the policy implementation requires that the money be paid into a private account. There is no indication that this is being done as a public-private initiative, which will require that the concession agency will give a concession. There is no indication as to the transparency. There is no indication as to what happened to the earlier permits given by the police. And assuming it is, according to the police, for security reasons that they are doing this, what happened to the validity of the earlier permits granted by the police? Why do you have to renew it? And we believe that the police is setting up members of the police and empowering policemen on the streets and on the roads that stop money from civilians and harass them. And we also believe that the purported notice of resumption is a calculated attempt by the police to make life very difficult for people this festive period. By claiming that the resumption will be by 2nd January 2026, the police is simply saying, rush to get the so-called permit. So Nigerians who are already growing under harsh economic conditions who are trying to feed their family, and those who are trying to find ways to travel to their villages and other places for the festive season would have to accommodate the extortionate rate for obtaining this. And those who have tried to say that even the official fee is not enough, you have to also pay third parties to be able to get this. And our question is, if it is a crime fighting measure by the police or policy by the police, and not a money revenue making one as we contend it is, and as it is indeed, why can't this data be obtained at the point of renewal of your vehicle particulars, which involves the police, the customs, the state security service, and the licensing authority? Why is the IG so interested in compelling members of the public to pay money into a private account? And there's a lot of opacity. How did they arrive at the amount being paid? How is this money being spent and shared? If it is for public purposes, why is it not being paid into federal government account through a TSA account? And we think that Nigerians should rise up to condemn this. The police should focus on protecting the lives of the people, not making off their back. The people are already suffering. But above all, as a professional association whose motto is promoting the rule of law, we think that they have action by the police under the IGP, Inspector General of Police, Egbetoku, flies in the face of judicial proceedings involving the police. It does not matter whether there is an injunction or not. The police ought to await that outcome, to which they are represented by a counsel. And they are represented by a senior advocate who gave court an undertaking that the police would not do anything. Remind the police that the police will benefit more from a peaceful and orderly society, that the police will stand to benefit more from a society where people respect judicial proceedings and allow the courts to determine between two contending parties. And it will be unlawful and indeed a brazen act by the police to insist on proceeding with this collection. More so after we had a roundtable meeting and agreed to suspend this. But beyond that, the police must be partners in progress and not have anything to do with any situation or thing that imposes hardship on the people. And we thought we should have this conversation with you gentlemen of the media. To my immediate right is Abdul Mohammed Essen, who was part of that meeting. In case my recollection of what took place that day is wrong, he would correct me. And also the Assistant General Secretary Barnabas Ehi Henry. But we thought we should have this conversation because it has very negative perception for our society and the police. And we should not tolerate such a thing. And the police should allow people to enjoy their season and leave anything about tinted approval. And if it is indeed to secure the lives of the people, there must be more creative ways of protecting the people and ensuring the security of the people without imposing further financial hardship on the people. And also doing it at a time that members of the public who may need to travel, who may need to put their vehicles on the road, will be harassed, extorted money, have their movement impeded, and oftentimes maybe impounded by overzealous policemen on the road, who may not distinguish even between the so-called take-off time of January 2nd. It's a time to say no. And we're also calling on the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, to call the Inspector General of Police to order. We've also, as at this moment, delivered a letter to the Office of the Attorney General, asking the Attorney General to also write to the police to cease and desist from this unlawful activity, which does not portray the country in a good light and imposes unnecessary hardship on the people. This must stop. We'll be willing.
Well, you have heard all the arguments. Now make your comments, like, and subscribe to our channel. But my question is, if the policy is indeed meant to get at the kidnappers and criminals, why not ban it completely? Why should motorists have to apply or reapply for the permits, which have financial implications and monies to be paid, that the so-called criminals and kidnappers have plenty of and will so gladly part with to the police to get their approval? Well, your guess is as good as mine.